House Bill 1, Bill to Learn Act of 2020. And I'm going to take a couple of minutes just to, one, introduce our speaker and to introduce, just say a few words about this particular bill. And we'll turn it over to the introduction of the bill to the Speaker of the House, after which we have several county executives that we will have come up, and then other testimony will follow. This bill, House Bill 1, in almost the identical form, passed this Appropriations Committee last year and passed the House last year. And I think it was a bill that our committee took a great deal of pride in authorship, frankly, trying to address a very important, if not dire, need in our communities about the need for renovation and building of new schools. And I want to take just a moment, as we all do, to thank the Speaker of the House for bringing this bill back this year, working across the lines of the Senate and the House to make sure that this bill was assigned a number 1, and that it was assigned number 1 in the Senate, which means that it's a priority for our leaders. I also want to announce that on your screens today, as you scroll through the testimony that we have that's been submitted online, first time today, so bear with us, everyone. There is a letter of support from the governor of the state of Maryland for this bill, who also is in support of the concept that we have in this bill for funding newly renovated and new schools in our subdivisions. So with that, I would like to just, at this point, turn it over to the Speaker of the House to introduce the bill, and we will get to everyone in this room. And I thank you again for making this a priority. Yes. Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. It's good to be back here in this seat. House Bill 1, Built to Learn Act, will invest an additional $2.2 billion in school construction on top of the current school construction funding. It authorizes $2.2 billion in 30-year Maryland Stadium Authority bonds, paid for by $125 million from the lockbox. The funding will help counties across the state address the backlog of school construction projects. Schools in every county in Maryland are in desperate need of renovations. Districts with the largest populations of Black and brown students, like Baltimore City and Prince George's County, have the oldest facilities in the state. Every year, we have students sitting in classrooms with no heat or air conditioning. And we have schools so over-enrolled that they are using trailers as permanent classrooms. Realistically, we can't educate kids in substandard conditions. Schools with the oldest buildings in the system, schools with high concentration of students eligible for free and reduced price meals, and schools with a high number of classroom trailers will get the funding they need to make renovations that are long overdue. This will be the largest investment in school construction in Maryland's history. Last year, the Maryland House of Delegates passed the Built to Learn Act with overwhelming bipartisan support. I ask that the committee once again give HB 1 a favorable report. But I also wanted to tell you the difference between the bill last year, which was House Bill 727, and this bill. For one thing, it moved the date of when the facilities assessments can be used in funding decision because we hadn't been able to do the assessments. It extended the Healthy School Facilities Fund, and There was the movement of funds from the Education Trust Fund to the Supplemental Public School Construction Financing Fund. The authority managing the projects and authority has the authority to give a waiver. It increased all counties' percentage of bond proceeds, and it added on page 31, in lines 11 to 14, that Prince George's is getting their share through the P3 because they are not in the bond proceed percentages. It also added high utilization schools on top of the schools required to get priority in funding. And it added the healthy school facility factors to the new priority fund if the assessment isn't done for what the fund can be used for. And it gave the Maryland Stadium Authority $500,000 from the Education Trust Fund for administrative costs. That's the highlights and the difference between the bill, House Bill 727 last year, and that is my testimony, and we're asking for a favorable report. And you'll be hearing from the county executives right after us.
All right, the lighting's okay this year? Thank you very much for that better lighting. For those of you in the audience, you know this is an inside joke, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and please join me so you can hear the county executives as they come forward. I would like to have Mayor Bernard C. Jack Young, my mayor, City of Baltimore, County Executive Angela Alsobrooks. You here? Yes, there you are. County Executive Calvin Ball, Mark Ulrich, County Executive of Montgomery County, Jan Gardner Frederick, our own Barry Glassman from Harford County. And do we have room to pull a chair up on either side for, yeah. Can you pull a chair up so we can have a beautiful line of all 8 of you there?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. We can work collaboratively.
Yeah, so executive from Baltimore County, Johnny Olszewski, and Stuart Pittman from Anne Arundel County. Truly, truly honored, really, to have all of you here today together. 8 county executives. Hopefully you're signed up in favor of this bill. And so we'll start in any order that you want.
Ladies first.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman.
Good afternoon.
Pleasure to be here this afternoon, as well as Vice Chair Jackson and the rest of the committee. It really is an honor to be here. I am Angela Alsobrooks, County Executive for Prince George's County, and I am here today in support of House Bill 1, the Built to Learn Act of 2020. Before I begin, I just want to thank the leadership here today. I want to thank, in her absence, I think Madam Speaker stepped out. Here she is. She's still here. I want to thank her as well for her leadership and say what an amazing day it is to have all of the leadership from across the state on one accord saying that our top priority in Maryland is the education of our children. And so I'm honored to be here with my colleagues from across the state. We're here today not to talk about Prince George's County's children or Baltimore City's children or Howard County's children. We're here to talk about Maryland's children, and it is an honor to be here. I want to, as you've heard before, the need for school construction funding in our county is great. We have a construction and renovation backlog of $8.5 billion. Prince George's County schools are the second oldest in the school system, with the average age of our school buildings being 41 years old. We had occasion to come together in November with the leadership in the state, and we stood together at a school. It was Forest Heights Elementary School. This is a school that Madam Speaker often speaks about. The age of that school is 90 years old. And on that day, what was unusual, it was a beautiful day. We chose that location because something was missing there, and it was our students and teachers who could not be in that school building on that day because it was deemed unsafe for them to do so. Those students and teachers had to be moved to a separate facility, and for those who were there to witness it, they could see that because of the emergency renovations that were underway, half the building was being held up by large hydraulic jacks. This is unbefitting of children in our school system. We want to not only speak to their potential and their value, but we want to be able to speak to our kids' dignity. So we are at a key moment in time as we have put together a plan for the future of our school facilities, and the funding allocated in House Bill 1 is critical to ensure that our children are able to go to school in state-of-the-art buildings that are warm in the winter, cool in the spring and summer, and structurally sound. We have put together, and I want to thank, we have our delegates here, Delegate Valentino Smith, of course, our Vice Chair Jackson, Barnes, and Proctor. But we have put together a model that we are very proud of. It is our P3 model that we believe will allow us to build schools faster and at a cost savings. But we cannot do so without this legislation. We have found that our process is moving along quite well, but the funding that comes with this legislation is critical to allowing us to build what we expect to be 18 schools over the next 7 years, to create a renaissance in our county, and to help Prince George's County join in the prosperity of the state, which has allowed Maryland to be recently designated as the second most well-educated state in the country behind Massachusetts. And we believe that we will do this by allowing our kids to be able to participate. And so I know that you will hear from many others on this panel. I won't take much more time, but I want to not only express my support, but also to express my gratitude to each of you for the time and attention that you have paid to this matter. I am proud to be here today with each of you, and I know that we're going to be even more proud as we leave here at the end of this session, having done something that is historic, building a future for our children that we may never see. So thank you so much again, and I urge your support.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to thank Speaker Jones for making education a priority and making this bill the very first one introduced this session. Also would like to thank Chairwoman McIntosh, the Vice Chair, and all the committee members here today for this opportunity to speak. And I'd like to also thank Chairwoman McIntosh for her tireless advocacy for Baltimore City children. As many of you know, Baltimore City have the oldest inventory of school buildings in the state of Maryland. Some schools lack heat in the winter or air conditioning in the summer. Others do not have potable water because they are old enough to have been constructed with lead water pipes. As Chairman McIntosh knows well, the original 21st century proposal envisioned 45 new and renovated schools. We believe that the additional money provided by HB1 will allow us to keep our promise and ensure that our students have the healthy, modern school facilities they need and that they deserve. The 2012 Jacob Report identified $2.45 billion in unmet capital needs for our city schools. Even with the investment made under the 21st Century Schools Program, over $1.3 billion in needs remain. We simply cannot clear this backlog of capital needs with the state and local resources currently available to us. HB1 would allow Baltimore City to continue its successful partnership with the Maryland Stadium Authority to manage school construction projects. As of this month, we have opened 14 new or fully renovated 21st century schools, with a total of 28 schools anticipated under the program. The roughly $400 million that will be made available to us should HB1 pass will allow us to keep the promise and state leaders made to our young people when we began the 21st Century School Program. Finally, I want this committee to know that I'm all in on putting public education first. My administration is already at work ensuring Baltimore has the capacity to meet its local cost-sharing obligation to make sure funds provided by this bill are put to work as soon as possible. Again, I want to thank the committee for their time and for this opportunity to speak, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our CEO of our Baltimore City Public Schools, Sonia Santalisas, who is with us today. And I ask this committee for a favorable report on House Bill 1. Thank you, and I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Chairperson McIntosh, members of the committee, and of course, Madam Speaker. I'm Calvin Ball, the County Executive of Howard County. And in Howard County, we have a long-standing history of prioritizing education and school construction funding to make us one of the nation's leading school systems. My administration supports this proposal for a historic investment in school construction, not only for Howard County, but for each and every jurisdiction across this great state. Despite our perceived affluence in Howard County, there is a significant need for increased capital investment for our schools. We are in dire need of extensive renovations for our older schools and the construction of new ones to keep pace with our student enrollment. Even in Howard County, we have over $500 million in deferred maintenance alone. The need for replacement of more than 200 relocatables and many HVAC systems, we're currently paying more to repair than the full cost of replacement. Our school system has estimated more than $145 million in funding needs from the state over the next 5 years just to keep pace with our critical projects, and on schedule to relieve our schools, and many have surpassed their capacity needs. As the Build to Learn formula currently stands, it is estimated that Howard County will receive about 4.5% of that $2.2 billion to be dispersed among all the jurisdictions in Maryland. There is a significant need for adequate infrastructure to continue serving our educators, our students, and ultimately fulfill the innovative vision set forth by the Kirwan Commission. Howard County is grateful that our state aid will increase based upon the recommendations from the Commission, and in challenging fiscal times, we know that every penny counts. We greatly appreciate the partnership and cooperation and dedication of our local delegation, including Delegate Kittleman, as well as each and every one of you for your hard work. Last session, my administration and our county council expressed support of Kirwan funding, innovative investments to transform our educational delivery system. We are encouraged by the policy priorities put forth by the Commission and the recommendations outlined. And just as we will continue to invest in our school system with the funding needs, typically above maintenance of effort, Howard County will continuously strive for equity in our school system so that all of our children can thrive. In fact, last year alone, in my very first budget, we invested a record amount, $18.2 million, which was the second highest above maintenance of effort in a decade. We recognize the importance of providing local county match and remain committed to doing so. I'm encouraged to see school construction as a top priority for the entire General Assembly, especially our leadership, and we employ each and every one of you to continue working together to ensure a school construction budget that invests in the growth of all jurisdictions. I look forward to continuing working with you to champion investments in public education and infrastructure. I urge your support for this favorable report so that we can help create the best teaching and learning environment for all of our children and educators. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your chair. Thank you, Speaker Jones. Thank you, Chairwoman McIntosh. Thank you, my delegate, Mark Chang. We need more from our county on this committee. But thank you for your leadership.
He's kind of important.
Yeah, it is. I know. But thank you all for your leadership on this last year and your bravery. It was disappointing, I think, to everybody at this table that we didn't get it across the finish line, and we trust that it will this year. And I also want to recognize the governor for supporting this year. I think it says a lot about the state of Maryland that we understand the importance of this. And I want to say something about growth, because I'm in a county, Anne Arundel, that has experienced a lot of growth. We've had 10,000 new students in the last decade, 1,700 new students just this year. And I think the residents of our county understand that if you don't keep up with infrastructure when you grow, you're really saying that you don't care about the future. And that caught up with us in Anne Arundel County. I think I was probably elected due to people's frustration. I was an unlikely candidate, but people's frustration with traffic and overcrowded schools. And so we have a $2.1 billion backlog in our county on school construction. And we knew that we had to do something when we sat down and looked at the budget last year. And the decision that we made was to raise both our property taxes and our income taxes. And we did a 0.1% income tax increase that was specifically devoted to permanent public improvements. We made a new fund. So we will have $250 million to help us with the school construction backlog. There was a poll that was done after that tax increase that said that 70% of our residents, who are always said to be very tax averse, that 70% supported the decision to do this. So it tells me that we're all on the right track in understanding that our residents really do care about the future. The future does matter, and people want to invest in our future and our kids. And the other thing I want to say, the last thing about our schools, is that, while our county, the population, the folks above $200,000 in household income, that percentage of our population has increased by 38% in just a 3-year period recently. In our schools, the poverty rate has increased by 25% in that same 3-year period, 15 to 18, went from 8% to 10%. And we know that education is the only tool that really deals with intergenerational poverty. So if we want to have a future that we can be proud of, we have to fund these schools. We have to keep up with our growth. And I just thank you for your support for this.
Thank you very much. By the way, County Executive, I want you to know that Delegate Henson, your newest delegate, is actually on this committee, but is giving testimony in the Judiciary Committee right now. She will be joining us soon, so don't
I
worry.
thought she was, and she's a great addition.
Yeah, thank you. Next, go ahead.
So I want to thank you, Speaker Jones and Chair McIntosh, for your leadership on this. I think all of us were here last year for the bill that was in front of this committee, and we're back again this year. It is absolutely critical that we get this done. I'm among those who agree with the word game changer that's been used regarding the education bills that are in front of the legislature this year. For the record, I'm Mark Elrich, the Montgomery County Executive, and I'm really pleased to be here with my colleagues from the other counties. We are all on the same page. We know how important this is. I also want to acknowledge that the county council president's here, my school board president, and our superintendent are all here, and you'll be hearing from them later. I want to thank you for the partnership that we've had over the years. Montgomery County's been able to do a lot, and we would not have been able to do as much as we have done without your support. But our needs continue to be pretty serious. We have a backlog in excess of $1.6 billion. About $800 million is in construction for capacity and modernization. The other $800 million is in renovations to schools. And our biggest culprit, much like one of the earlier speakers says, is the HVAC systems, which, not only are expensive to repair, but they are eating up our operating dollars that could be going somewhere else if we could get these systems replaced. We've struggled to deal with both enrollment growth and this need for repairs. We've had, again, this year, about 2,500 persons additional to the school system, and we'd anticipated a drop. Last year was down a little bit. That did not happen. Instead, we're up to 2,500 again. And so we compete the renovation projects with the expansion and capacity related issues, and we clearly don't have money to do both. And I'm saying that at the same time, we've spent $200 million a year of our own money to try to deal with this issue. So despite pouring a lot of money into this problem, we are not able to significantly knock this problem down. As long as the growth goes on, and as long as our schools get older, and we're not able to do both in a timely manner, we will continue to struggle. So your partnership in this is really critical. We are the largest system in the state with over 165,000 students. We are the 14th largest school district in the country, and we're beginning to approach the size of Fairfax County. We have no choice but to do these projects because I think as Stuart said, when the kids show up, they expect classrooms, and parents expect that their kids are not going to be sitting on desks or sitting on the desks or on the furniture in the science lab, that they're actually going to be, in chairs, and that there's going to be room for them. And so we need to make sure we can do what we need to do in our school system. Montgomery County is a changing place. We're a mature subdivision. I'm always trying to remind people that we are not a place where the streets are paved with gold, and we have more kids in free and reduced lunch than the District of Columbia has in their entire school system. That's not a small number. And that brings extra challenges. So we're here, joining all the other chorus of voices saying this project's important, your work's important, we want to support you, we want to make sure we do everything we can. I think that's partly why we are all clear about being together on this. We don't want any divisiveness. We want a bill that, all of us can move forward and feel strongly about. And I think that's important, that you are able to work with a group of people who are united in getting this accomplished. I'll just close by saying, there are a lot of opportunities that HB1 offers, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure it works. And I want to thank you again for attending this. It is great to be in a state and in a legislature like this where you can talk about the education future of children, and the discussion is focused on the education future of these children, and it's not been entirely taken over by the bean counters. The kids are the most important work we do, and I think all of us know that, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're here to support the work that you've already done. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, Chairman McIntosh, all the committee members, and I do have to give a special shout out to my delegate, Carol Krim, for the good work that she does here in Annapolis. I'm pleased to join all my fellow county executives to support the Build to Learn Act. I'm very excited about what this bill means for our students and educators, as well as for our quality of life and our long-term economic prosperity. I am in my 5th term in county government, and I got into this on the topic of school construction. I've served on the COP Commission, the NOT Commission, and the work group on facilities assessments, and this is a big deal. This is really the game changer. This is what is really going to make a change in school construction across our state. I am particularly grateful for the allocation for Frederick County and the fact that it's ticked up a little bit in this bill versus last year. I am grateful for that, so thank you. Frederick County, like some others, is growing, and we do have a thriving economy. This year, our enrollment growth was 1,100 students, and with a population of 42,000 students, that's a big percentage. And next year, we will expect to have 1,400 new students. So just to break even, we need to build the equivalent of 2 elementary schools a year. At the same time, we need to modernize and renovate our older schools, and we do have some older schools that are over 50, 60 years old. When we renovated Frederick High School, the oldest part of that school was 100 years old. I support a lot of components of this bill, particularly the extra money for counties with growing enrollments and relocatables, as well as I want to recognize and appreciate the recognition of our smaller counties and the flexibility on eligible costs. So thank you for your vision. Thank you for your support for House Bill 1. Adequate and safe school facilities will support our children and allow them to thrive and achieve their potential, and it will support our state's economic development and ensure our future prosperity. Maryland has been a leader in our country in school construction. We use our money effectively and efficiently. We have good public processes, and we really distribute money fairly and equitably. That's important for us. This bill will ensure that Maryland will continue to lead the way in our nation with school construction. And I may need to switch with you.
Yeah, can we switch with council?
You can have my chair. This is the...
It's the swing chair. Swing chair?
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Well, good afternoon. Johnny Olszewski, here in support of House Bill 1, Baltimore County Executive and proud former member of this House of Delegates. Chair McIntosh, Vice Chair Jackson, Speaker Jones, it is great to be back before you on this critical issue of school construction. It was a fight that we all led together last year, and it's a fight that we are pushing again this year. The former teacher in me knows how critical learning conditions are in the classroom. And we know that every teacher and student deserves conditions that affirm their dignity and their worth. As an educator, as a parent, as a county executive, it is unacceptable to me that today in Baltimore County I have any student that is learning in a school with brown drinking water, without air conditioning, or that are excessively overcrowded. And we have that and more, not just in Baltimore County, but across this state. But we're here to do something about that, which is why I am so pleased to be joined by my colleagues from across the state and from across the aisle to support this critical school construction legislation. It's why I want to applaud Speaker Jones, President Ferguson, and all of you for making this a priority in having it be House Bill and Senate Bill 1. This was my only legislative priority last year. We saw it $500 million over 5 years to address our needs because it's that important. So thank you for being all in with us on that fight and for passing a bill very similar. I know that together we're going to get the job done this year because, as has been pointed out, the needs across all of our counties and across this state have only grown. In our county, we have $242 million in shovel-ready projects that are just awaiting their state match to proceed. Shovel-ready projects, $242 million. And to be clear, like my colleagues, we are poised and ready to continue putting in our match towards these projects. And while we all could use more, we are grateful for what this bill contemplates and how far it moves us along. Just for perspective, what that means for us, we are looking at least a 4-year delay on our projects without this additional state funding. 4 years, that means we not only wait on the elementary and middle schools that we're poised to act on in Baltimore County, but we have to build at least 3 additional high schools to meet both infrastructure and overcrowding needs. So in our budget, we've already put forward some planning money for Lansdowne High School and 2 others. Lansdowne, the school of the alma mater of our speaker, that many of you joined us on. But you had a chance to see firsthand what some of the conditions are that our kids are facing. From a school that's literally crumbling into the ground and sinking into the ground, a school that is not ADA compliant, and that we have to send kids to other high schools because if they have a physical disability and can't attend. We can do better, and with your support, we know we're going to do better. We're going to make sure that the kindergartners of today can get the benefit of that new high school by passing this legislation. So thank you for your vision. Thank you for your leadership. We are all pleased to be here supporting House Bill 1 and urge a favorable report.
All right. Madam Chair, it's good to be back in the House where I got my start a long, long time ago, I think. Barry Glassman on behalf of Harford County. Speaker Jones, thank you for HB1 and your work on this behalf. I don't really have any members on this committee to thank, but I have to say the chair was my former chair, and she has been so good to me in Harford County. I always feel like I've got a member on this committee. Is that enough, Bud?
Don't say that in front of the mayor, okay?
Madam Chair, is that enough butter? Listen, I'm here on behalf of Harford County and many of Maryland's counties, all my colleagues here today, on a couple of points. One, to bring bipartisan support for this effort. Whether you are in a rural county, an urban county, or a suburban county that's growing, children deserve a decent room, warm, modern, to go to school. We don't check them when they get off the bus, whether they've got a Republican card or a Democratic card, right? These young people don't even know what those are, and it's probably a good thing. And so when they get off the bus, they need to go to a school regardless of where it is in this great state. In Harford County, we spend 50 cents on every dollar of local money on our education system. And it's been a priority of mine for the last 5 years. And in fact, last year, our increase was the 4th largest in the state, $10 million above maintenance of effort. And so when I travel the state with the Maryland Association of Counties, and the light's going off on me, I found out through all our counties that story is the same, regardless of where you are. They want good schools, and this bill will move us forward, provide funding. I would urge you, whenever you get a chance, to make sure that local governments and their boards have some flexibility to make sure they work together to pick the right priorities on these projects. So Hartford County is in support of this bill. We thank you. See, I said all those good things, Madam Chair, and electric's going on.
I'm not going to say what I'm thinking.
Right.
Okay?
Madam Chair, Speaker, thank you so much. And all of Maryland's counties, I think, stand in support of this bill.
Thank you. I think we've got some light switches. Do we have light switches on this side that need to be turned on?
Madam Chair, if I may, just
Yes,
because
absolutely.
all the other executives done, I also want to thank and recognize my delegates, Delegates Metzger, Young, Hedelman, Forbes, and Mangione for their hard work. working
Goodness
with you as the
gracious.
Speaker as well. So.
Got us all beat.
That's pretty amazing. There we go. We got it. Lights are back on now that the Republican county executive. That was a joke. That was a joke. Thank you very much. Are there any questions, by the way, for the county executives? Okay, thank you. Really, sincerely, thank you all for being here. It means a lot to us to have your support on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm now going to call up a panel of others who have signed up, and I'm going to mix and match a little bit just so that we can move along fairly quickly. We have Sydney Katz from Montgomery County, Jack Smith, and Shebra Evans. All right, and I'm going to ask also my CEO of the schools, Sonia Sandalis, to come up, along with, is Teresa Dudley here from Prince George's County? Yes, ma'am. Come on up, and we'll have a nice second panel. And let's let Montgomery County folks begin. How's that?
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Sidney Katz, the Montgomery County Council President, and I'm pleased to be here today to support the passage of this bill and to express the Council's sincere appreciation for your efforts last year and for the House actually passing the bill last year. And of course, we want this bill passed, and we will do everything we can to be able to take advantage of this huge opportunity. I always think of Montgomery County Public Schools as a microcosm of America with a very diverse population, and I'm a proud graduate of Montgomery County Public Schools. Our student body is 32% Latino, 28% white, 21% African American, and 14% Asian. Over 28,000 students are English language learners, which is 17.5%, with 150 languages spoken in our schools. 56,000 of our students are eligible for free or reduced price meals, which is 35.1%. The school system has a well-earned reputation for excellence, but we have had to be creative to keep it that way. Because it's an issue of equity, we work hard to provide safe, welcoming, and attractive spaces for all our children and ensure that our public school graduates are well equipped to be part of a high-functioning workforce of the 21st century. Yes, we have very significant capacity and aging infrastructure problems, and we know we are not the only school system facing these problems. However, some of our problems are unique and cannot be ignored. For example, this year Montgomery County Public Schools enrollment grew to 165,200 people, which is 2,500 more students than last year, and 1,800 more students than projected. Because of this huge enrollment growth, which has persisted for years, the school system is having to resort to using over 400 relocatable classrooms. Some schools are so space challenged, there are 15 relocatables at a single location. This is how we're having to compensate despite spending unprecedented amounts of local funds trying to meet the need. To place our local spending in context, when we came to you in 2015, along with Baltimore and Prince George's County, with their public school construction proposal, Montgomery County was spending twice as much on public school construction as the next highest spending county, and an amount equivalent to that spent by Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Howard, and Prince George's counties combined. This is not to say that those jurisdictions were not making a great effort. Rather, it is simply to highlight that because of that enrollment growth, Montgomery County is having to make a huge effort just to run in place. The problem for us is that we cannot keep up now, and the need is not going away. There's a tipping point, which I believe we are fast approaching, and it is worrisome. We are having to spend so much of our capital budget on public school construction that other pressing needs are falling by the wayside. In fact, we will find it difficult to meet the requirements of HB1 because of the effort we are already making, an average of over $200 million a year for the past 6 years. However, we will do whatever it takes to capitalize on the opportunity offered in HB1, since securing a stepped-up commitment from the state to help us address our public school construction backlog has been a top priority for Montgomery County for as long as I can remember. Yes, our county does have the ability to manage many problems on its own, but we need the state as a steadfast partner to help invest in our infrastructure. This is something we cannot do alone. This bill will allow the state and county to leverage the resources necessary to begin a real difference in addressing our public construction crisis. For these reasons, on behalf of the Montgomery County Council, I respectfully ask for your support, and I too look forward to seeing this bill signed into law this spring. Thank you again.
Okay, others from Montgomery County?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Madam Speaker, Chair McIntosh, Vice Chair Jackson, to the entire committee, and a special shout out to Montgomery County delegation. I am Shebra Evans, the president on the Board of Education. I'm here today to also speak and to testify about HB 1, the Build to Learn Act of 2020, public schools construction, and on behalf of my colleagues on the board, we are in total support of this bill. It will provide significant funding to our construction program, not only in Montgomery County, but of course across the state. In Montgomery County, I said it last year and I'll say it again, we are faced with challenges. Our construction program, we are continuing to rapidly grow, and we want to be able to keep pace with that growth. We have had over 25,000, more than 25,000 students added to our school system since 2010. In the next 6 years, we expect another 11,000 students to be added to our system. You heard from our county executive that more than 2,500 students have been enrolled this year. That's the size of a high school in Montgomery County. This legislation is very important. A top priority for the board is to make certain that all of our students are in equitable and efficient classrooms, and you all have demonstrated that this is a top priority of yours as well by this bill. So we just want to thank you for that. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that our county executive and our President Katz, our local government has provided significant funding to us. We have gotten increases from state aid, but it is just not enough. It is not enough. So I just thank you for your bold approach, being creative and thinking about how we can address the critical needs, not only in Montgomery County, but across the system. And I'm here to say thank you, and you have our full support.
Next.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair McIntosh, and Vice Chair Jackson. I certainly want to recognize the Montgomery County delegation members in this room, as well as all the members of this room, for the work you do on behalf of all of the residents of Maryland. As the superintendent of the largest school system in Maryland, and one that's growing considerably, so I'd just like to give you an example of that growth. As the speakers ahead of me have said, we've had 2,500 new students that were included in our September 30th official count in Montgomery County. That was our growth for this school year. Since that day, we've added more than 1,100 more students. We're now at 166, 300 pre-K through 12th grade students. That growth is putting serious pressure on our school system, as each of the speakers has said so far, and HB1 will do a tremendous service to this state and to Montgomery County. It is a very bold move, as our board chair, Shibra Evans, just said, and one that we applaud, and we will work closely with you in any way we can to make it highly successful on behalf of all the children of this state. We very much appreciate the bill and support it entirely. We do ask that as you work through this process that you look at how to make sure that all of the jurisdictions in this state are well served, from Kent County and Garrett County among our smallest, Somerset, to Montgomery County, Prince George's, Anne Arundel, the others, because that variation in size brings about incredibly different ways of doing the business of making sure that we have school construction. Montgomery County Forward funds a lot, as we've heard. Not all school systems are able to do that, and I have great empathy and concern for all school systems to be able to take advantage of this opportunity. The focus over the last more than 10 years in Montgomery County has been capacity. Virtually all of our 208 schools are either at or over capacity right this minute. And one thing that I would point out to you, and then I'll close, is that the operational excellence, the operational logistics of a school system have a direct bearing on the learning in that school system. The better things operate, the more focus there is on the part of the educators on reading at or above grade level, reaching the highest levels of math, taking advantage of all the opportunities that are in high school. And so what you've offered here is a tremendous opportunity to put more focus on learning and less on struggling to make sure we have a seat for every student, that the rooms are heated when heat is necessary, cooled when air conditioning is necessary, and all of the other things that distract schools and school systems from the important work of learning. So I want to thank you for this. We urge a favorable report and passage of this, and we will work with you in any way we can. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sandalise?
So good afternoon again, everyone. I want to say a special thank you to Madam Speaker Jones, Madam Chairwoman McIntosh, for your continued leadership in this area, and also want to thank my delegates, our delegates, Delegates Haynes and Delegate Bridges, who are part of this committee. And as you heard earlier, not from me earlier this week, but earlier today from our mayor, Baltimore City really has been leading the way with respect to school construction. We started this trend in 2013, frankly, with your support in passage of our 21st Century Buildings Program. Through that program, the state, the city of Baltimore, Baltimore City Public Schools contribute $60 million annually to finance the renovation or replacement of the 28 facilities that you heard the mayor reference earlier. This program is well underway, with 14 newly built or fully renovated buildings housing 15 schools and representing 10,000 seats, or as I like to say, 10,000 children. By the end of the first phase, MSA forecasts the program will deliver 28 school buildings, which will be home to 32 schools and approximately 20,000 new seats, at the same time that we continue to reduce our overall building portfolio. Now, the excitement around the buildings themselves is palpable, and as you heard from the county executives, my colleagues in Montgomery County, the translation of buildings, actually, we are seeing in Baltimore City, is really the translation of new learning experiences for young people. What this means in Baltimore City is the experience of an elementary school student who entered one of the first 21st century school buildings, who upon entering the new school, this fourth grader actually broke out in tears and said, "I never thought I would be able to go to school in a place like this." What this money means, what this influx of support at a statewide level, it means that young people across our state will know that the leadership of this state, as represented by your work, is behind them and their future. To date, We in Baltimore City, in collaboration with MSA, have put more Baltimoreans to work. That means that we have up to 711 verified Baltimore City residents who are now working as part of the investment in new school buildings. And with this success, really where we are is at a place where we don't want that success, the infrastructure we have built up with partners like MSA, Maryland Stadium Authority, and others, to go to waste. This is an opportunity that really means for us the continuation of a promise to our young people in Baltimore City that we believe they are worthy of high-quality school buildings. It means that high schools like Baltimore Polytechnic, which, by the way, was ranked 36th in the country and #1 in the state of Maryland for STEM education, it means that those young people will not have to sit in the middle of January in coats, that they will actually have a building that matches their academic excellence that has now been recognized nationwide. I want to make clear that for all the progress we've made, we are looking forward to the commitment that what this House Bill 1 represents, not only for the young people of our city, but for the young people across the state. Thank you for your courage to lead. Thank you for making this House Bill 1, and I appreciate the opportunity to come again before you today.
Prince George's County is in the room.
Good morning, Madam Chair. And I would like to invite you to come to PG County, which is Pretty Girl County.
Yeah.
Pretty Smart Girl County.
Yeah, it is.
You and Adrian Jones.
Yeah.
Because we are so proud of seeing women in leadership in the Maryland General Assembly.
Thank you.
And so you can come to Pretty Girl County anytime you want to.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
You fit the bill.
We did come to kick this off, actually, in Prince George's County. I was happy to be there.
You can come and see it through my eyes.
Good.
My name is Teresa Mitchell Dudley, and I am a middle school social studies teacher in Prince George's County. But for the past 4 years, I've had the honor of serving as the president of the Prince George's County Educators Association with over 10,000 members, servicing more than 130,000 students in Prince George's County. We really appreciate the support on HB 1. This legislation will allow us to move in a way in Prince George's County that we have not moved in a long time towards eliminating some of the backlog. There are tremendous unmet facility needs in every school district, especially Prince George's County. New construction, maintenance, and repairs. I can give you horror stories about the learning and working conditions for students and educators alike who go into buildings without heating and air or drinkable water and face rodent infestations, mold, and other deplorable conditions. University Park and Langley Park Elementary Schools, most of the schools that are in the northern part of the county are extremely overcrowded. The school that I used to teach at Rogers Heights Elementary School has over 1,000 students in that school as it currently is right now. And the temporaries that are back behind the school have become permanents. And those as temporary facilities, what happens is you have rodent infestation, they chew underneath the facility, and it's messy. Children are walking through rodent infestation. We also have Francis Fuchs Early Childhood Center, where many of our special needs children are in temporaries, are special needs pre-K kids. And these are children who have been identified as having special needs. And what happens is you might have 2 educators in the room and maybe even a para, but there's no restroom in there for those children. So in inclement weather, when a pre-K child has to go to the bathroom, they have to be escorted. So number one, they're going outside in inclement weather, and it also takes away from the instructional staff from being in the building. Additionally, there are schools, especially in areas of increased enrollment, that are bursting at the seams and adding more students than classroom capacity year over year. We appreciate you taking bold action like this to address the facility needs. However, PGCEA is requesting that there be an amendment to address the adequate facilities, public facilities legislation in the county. We can build schools to catch up, but the finish line for reaching adequate facilities keeps moving further away as residential development continues to go unchecked. The County Council, as it sits as the District Council, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning, and the Prince George's County Schools, must develop better protection of our schools from residential overdevelopment. Every time we open up a new school, all of a sudden it's at capacity when the school opens up. So it's a moving target. And if we're going to invest the money, which please God, invest the money in our children, because our babies can't wait, we have to make sure that we are good stewards of the resources that we have available to us. So if not now, if this is going to hold up this legislation, I think it can wait. However, I think it deserves a look to make sure that we're protecting our investments in the future. So with that, I'm done. And I wish you all a very, very happy new year.
Question? Very good. Have a great day and a safe trip back. Thank you, Prince George's, Montgomery, and Baltimore City. Now, we have two final folks here who have signed up in favor. I'm going to have you come up, and then we have a number of people who have amendments to offer. I will do you next, but we have MSEA. Is Doug here? Oh, there you are. And we also have Michelle from MCCPTA. And if you will kind of summarize your remarks. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair and Vice Chair Jackson. I'm Doug Prouty from Maryland State Education Association. We represent 75,000 public educators across the state. We appreciate your advocacy for school construction and this critical legislation that allow us to meet huge unmet needs around the state in school construction and renovation. This bill works to address the unique needs of Maryland counties. I'll give you a couple examples of how it does so. New investments in counties that are growing throughout the center of the state. Flexibility in terms of Prince George's being allowed to do more construction through their P3 system, and rural counties getting and smaller counties getting help through the Stadium Authority to make sure that they are able to address their needs as well. We appreciate that the funding, we use some education trust fund dollars, but not too many because we have competing needs, as you know, between this and the blueprint. So we appreciate the creativity that you've shown in terms of crafting this bill so that we'll be able to meet the needs both in the classroom and building and renovating the classroom as well. Educators know it's critical, and you've heard from every speaker today, to have a safe, inviting learning environment. It sends a message to the students and the educators around the state when they walk into a building that respects them by being clean, modern, and having all the resources they need. Both the goals in terms of funding for the blueprint and school construction are our priorities for the 2020 session. I don't have specific language to offer in terms of amendments, but I do want to suggest that we might be able to include language in House Bill 1 that would address some of the priorities that you'll find in the blueprint bill, specifically in terms of more pre-K classrooms and career and technical education expansion. So the state's developed competitive grant processes with school construction funds to incentivize school safety improvements. The Build to Learn Act could also include ways to be able to address these two priorities through the blueprint for public education and for Maryland's future. So we're ready to work with you to draft amendments if possible, and we appreciate your support. We look forward to a favorable report on House Bill 1. Thank you for your efforts on the behalf of Maryland students.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Riley. I'm here on behalf of the Montgomery County Council of PTAs. We have 40,000 members in 200 school communities in Montgomery County. We support HB 1 and are happy to see $2.2 billion proposed to be added to school construction funding. As you've heard, we have a $1.6 billion backlog on major projects in our county and desperately need this funding. Our economic growth picture is stagnant, unfortunately, and meanwhile our student population has increased by over 23,000 students in the last decade. By way of example, my neighborhood's middle school, Eastern Middle School on University Boulevard, houses one of Montgomery County's humanities magnet programs, and kids come from all over the county to this program. Eastern Middle School has a farms rate of over 50% and is 67% African American and Hispanic population. Eastern Middle School has not been renovated in almost 50 years, but because of so many needs in our county, Eastern is not even on the county's capital improvement program plan. There are too many other needs in other schools. Eastern has outdated HVAC needs, it needs a new gym floor, and Promethean boards in every classroom. So please give a favorable report for this bill and pass it. Thank you.
Much. Have a great day.
Thanks.
We now have a number of individuals who've signed up in favor with amendments. What I'd like for you to do is just come forward as I call you and speak to the amendments that you want to offer or think we should take up. So we have Patrick Enright, Ardith Cade, Chris Parts. Well, actually, Chris, why don't you wait? You're on a panel here together. Jeff. With the building trades. Is Jeff here with the building trades? Yep, good. I got you. And Earl Adams. Why not the four of you kick us off on favorable with amendments? Okay? It's good to see you all.
Good to see you as well. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Appropriations Committee. My name is Patrick Enright. I'm a citizen from Anne Arundel County, Gambrills to be specific. To preface my remarks today, I want to preface it with two things. One, I have no problem with Bill HB 1. I think it's absolutely necessary to put forth these initiatives in school construction to solve our school infrastructure problems. Well, let me walk that back a second. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I think it's critically necessary to have a bill like HB 1 to solve these problems. And you'll hear the word critical again in my remarks. I also want to say in preface that I consider myself a self-appointed watchdog of gaming revenues that come from our 6 Maryland casinos and their distribution. It's quite an avocation and it takes a lot of work to follow things. Having said all of that, I do have an issue. I do have a problem with HB 1, and in particular, the entries on pages 39 through 41, which concern the amendments of 91830. That's the creation article in the state government title, or state government article, of the Education Trust Fund. I believe that the Education Trust Fund is critical to Maryland education in the disbursement of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of gaming revenues from our 6 casinos, and maybe more to come from sports betting, but that's another topic. It's a standalone under the state government article as part of the gaming structure under the state government article, not the education article, and that's the problem I have. I believe that it's a critical component of education and should stand alone and should be amended as a standalone entity. For example, over half of, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'll summarize. I recommend that the amendment, this amendment to HB 1 be to remove the article 91830 from pages 39 through 41 and amend it as a standalone so it can supplement HB 1 in its contributions of revenues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Ardith Cade, and I'm here representing the Washington County Board of Education. We commend the overall concept of the bill and think it's a great idea. However, we have 2 amendments that we would like to suggest that have to do with the equity of the bill. First, we refer to the proposed allocation of the $2.2 billion of bonding authority shown on page 30 This section of law suggests that 87.2% of the funding be made available to only 6 large counties, and only 11.5% of all of the funding be made available to 17 smaller counties. These counties represent not 11% of the school population statewide, but 25% of the population of the school statewide population. So this is more than twice as much. So the proposed allocation, we believe, is highly inequitable and should be substantially revised. Since Prince George's County is provided for separately in the bill, those big counties, which represent 60% of the funding, 60% of the school population statewide, are allocated almost 90% of that money. So it ends up that they're getting about 3 times per capita what the smaller counties will have available to them. We do not think that this is equitable to the children in the smaller counties. We believe that this must be adjusted. We know we can go through the COP Commission, the Knott Commission, the Kerwin Commission. It seems like starting with K is how you get to head a commission. And the recent equity policy that calls for equity. And so we are asking that there be an amendment to proportion these funds out in a much more equitable way. Our second amendment, the bill calls for the smallest counties, those under 20,000, to be allowed to use this money for pre-construction costs. We ask that this figure, we have 22,000, just above that 20,000. We ask that that figure be raised to 30,000. That would then include Washington County, Charles County, and Carroll County in those counties that are allowed to use this for pre-construction. We thank you for looking hard at these 2 amendments.
All right. Thank you, Earl. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Mr. Vice Chair. I'm Jeff Guido. I'm with the Baltimore, D.C. Building Trades. First, I'd like to state that we support House Bill 1, but we are asking a few things. We're asking that some language be added in the P3 to create a pathway for students that are in the current CTE construction courses upon graduation to move into employment on the schools that are being built. A lot of times they'll be working within the zip codes or close to zip codes where they live. And we're also asking that the prevailing wage be applied to the P3. Prevailing wage requires that registered apprentices be employed on these projects, and that any of the $2.2 billion being invested by Maryland or the bonds managed by MSEA include that prevailing wage. The current prevailing wage threshold for school construction is 25% of state funding. We're also asking that responsible bidder language be added to this bill. And responsible bidders are those that do not have a history of safety violations, unpaid wages, or any misclassification filings against them. They have registered with the Maryland Apprenticeship Training Council. They provide apprenticeships that are industry funded with graduated pay raises, and then portability of their skills and pay grade. A lot of those are multi-employer Joint Apprenticeship Training Council agreements. And then the funding and the training are 2 legs of that stool, and the building trades are ready and willing to be the 3rd leg of that stool with creating careers, and these are careers that will provide an individual with the freedom to balance life and work. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Vice Chair. Earl Adams, Jr., on behalf of First Floor, which is a consortium of developers and construction professionals who have developed and delivered energy-positive K-12 schools around the country in using alternative funding methods like P3s. Madam Chair, I would like to say that I have to blame user error because we are here to strongly support HB1. I apologize for putting favorable with amendments, but I will not prolong it, only to say that First Floor supports HB1 because we truly believe that it is the right vehicle to help Maryland school districts solve what has been said many times today, what has become a national problem, and that is the need to improve dilapidated schools that are not worthy of our children. I'm a proud graduate of the Prince George's County Public School System, and the opportunity to be able to attend a school that is new and fresh is definitely attached to the overall learning experience. First Floor stands ready to help and support the committee as you go through this good and important work. We would very much like to ensure that matters of equity are included as you're considering it, as well as flexibility, so that school districts are able to identify the best arrangements that will meet their needs, and that they are not restricted or constricted in any way in finding the best opportunities to be able to deliver on high-performing K-12 schools. I appreciate the opportunity to testify and look forward again to working with the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a question? Okay, Delegate Rush? Yeah.
Full equity
Sure.
provision that we had. I represent 4 counties on the Eastern Shore, so we have a total of 9 counties on the shore. And under the current school construction program, we have most of our schools are getting funded. I think out of the 9 counties, we might only build 2 or 3 schools on the entire Eastern Shore each and every year. And then out of those 2 or 3 schools that we're building, we are getting funded even under the current school construction program. If we were to add more money, the concern that I would have as an Eastern Shore or rural representative would be that we would have money, state money, sitting in an account where we just don't have enough local money to be able to match it. And that would be a concern, that we have. So we do have more needs, particularly in our counties, but it's that local match that's preventing us. Whereas in Montgomery County or Baltimore City, they have enough local match. The challenge is they just don't have enough state money to be able to move these projects along.
Well, again, this would be permissive. Nobody would be ordered to use this. And one of my real questions is really whether there has to be an allocation system in the bill that is so specific, or whether there's some broader way that the allocations could be suggested.
Well, what we did, and we can look at it in Washington County, because I'm not sure, because that's a bigger school system, is that how we address this and how it's actually a bigger help for the rural, smaller school districts is that ineligible cost. So the schools that they are building, the state's actually picking up a higher percentage of the school construction costs as compared to the larger school systems. So that's actually more beneficial for the rural counties than it would be to add more money in that one section, at least from our experience on the Eastern Shore. But I would be happy to look into Washington County to make sure that you guys are taking care of it.
Madam Chair, if I can, again, just for user error, I think I also signed up Ms. Dana Stebbins, my colleague, but I don't know if I listed her for testimony, but she is a Me Too as well. I know you did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief. First, thank you all for being here. Appreciate your input in this conversation. It's a very important topic. A lot of dollars that we're talking about here in terms of what can go towards the schools. And we agree the construction is needed. I think equally as important to this conversation is what we're doing around apprenticeships, around jobs, right? And ensuring that we're dealing with that kind of a shortage of skills gap. Right, and so with all this money that we're talking about here, how can the state, really do something around that skills gap to ensure that we're connecting people with, workers, the kind of apprenticeships and the kind of jobs, because a lot of money being spent, right? How can we ensure that those apprentices, I guess that's what I'm interested in finding out in this whole conversation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
No, is that question for me, Delegate? Oh. Well, I'd like to address, if I may. What we're trying to institute currently is our apprenticeship readiness course within the high schools. We have a program currently at High Point High School in Prince George's County. We started out with 20 students. 18 have stayed with it. Upon their graduation, they get an industry-recognized certificate of completion, and hopefully I can get them all direct entry into an apprenticeship that is no cost to them other than first-year books and application fees. And we did receive a grant from Dollar for that, $15,000 for 2 years to pay for those books and those application fees to get them started on the right path. And I think that's the beginning. But like I say, a lot of students take these CTE courses, they get interviewed and they don't get hired. And I think at least a 10% recruitment from within the zip codes where these schools are being built would solve a lot of that.
We were very, I could see the eye contact up here, very interested in your testimony about the pipeline.
Thank you.
Yeah. Delegate Bridges.
Just Madam Chair, just to clarify or help me if I'm wrong, was this the training program, the apprenticeship program, was that used in the 21st Century Schools program in Baltimore City?
No.
It wasn't?
No. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I don't want to misspeak, but I wasn't
Right.
as familiar with that program.
It was in Prince George's.
Normally, the MC3 program, Multi-Craft Core Curriculum, is a post-high school course for 3 weeks to reach out to communities underserved, for veterans, women, single parents, people of color, to give them a career path.
So you're asking for this?
But we're trying to get it into the high schools more.
Right.
That's good. It falls along with the Kerwin recommendations, actually.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming and being so patient.
Thank you.
We now have 4 people left who have signed up favorable with amendments. Chris Parts, Lisa Ferretto, Peter Dew, Sarah Berman. And 2 are from AIA Maryland. If you can consolidate your testimony into one, it would be appreciated. You're each going to have 2 minutes. By the way, committee, the rest of the testimony, which is considerable, is all favorable or favorable with amendments, and it's all written. So you can scroll through your computer and see that it's all there. You may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon. My name is Chris Parts, and I'm asked if we can actually, the folks that are AIA members are speaking to 2 different issues, and if we could have, okay. I'm here to speak on behalf of AIA Maryland and more than 2,000 architects in Maryland. We urge you to adopt the proposed amendment, which simply redacts some language noted in Section 4809 of the Annotated Code of Maryland, because we strongly believe that this will continue to provide a path of equivalent performance, but essentially enhance the green building construction with the capital funds that we've been provided for this. With the strong representation of the county executives that were here today, you certainly recognize the importance of this bill. While this capital fund is significant, each of these representatives is responsible for operating the schools once built, and this amendment is meaningful in helping them to have healthy buildings and efficient operation and continued improvement to that end. We strongly believe this amendment provides a better path to sustainable schools by redacting that section of the code. When we think back to 2008, when Senate Bill 208 was the high performance building bill was enacted, the point of tying performance to rating systems was to set an aspirational goal for school construction, state funded projects to measure progress. I want to repeat the term aspirational, not just code minimum. When we meet with school clients, we share what we think we can achieve on a project, and they often ask what we can do to reach higher. It's both exciting and challenging to assess how we can do better, how we can collectively work together to achieve a more sustainable project. And our progress as a state can also be measured in achievement, noting that Maryland, as a small state, just as small a state as it was just ranked 6th in the country in 2019 for the most LEED certified projects. The project goals we set through these measured programs address the impact of human health, energy, water efficiency, and we consider the impact of materials we use in buildings and the impact of the buildings on the natural environment. These are goals I think we can collectively agree that we want to provide for our children. And in conclusion, without the rigor of independent verification of information, the expert review of projects goes away. The misinterpretation of a requirement goes undiagnosed, and the likelihood of data collected on projects to document continued performance of these buildings and carry lessons in achievement to new projects simply greatly diminishes. We ask for your support of this amendment, and considering we certainly support the bill, and we ask for your support of this amendment to build better schools for our children for the future. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. I'm here today in support of House Bill 1. My name is Sarah Berman. Today, I'm here on behalf of the U.S. Green Building Council and as a Baltimore City public school parent, whose community wants accountability for our tax dollars. Maryland is poised to make significant investment in its students with a dedicated school construction and renovation program. Research has shown that where our students learn matters. Schools that are well designed and constructed facilitate learning as well as health and wellness. We have a name for this: green schools. Green schools are those that are high performing across a range of outcomes. Green schools are better for budgets because they are designed to save money for the lifespan of the school building through reduced utilities expenses and reduced absenteeism. Green schools can be built at or below regional K-12 construction costs and operated within facilities budgets. Green schools improve health, wellness, and academic performance by creating an environment where students and teachers are more comfortable, less prone to illness, and more focused on teaching and learning. Green schools are better for the planet because they reduce environmental impact, conserve resources, and contribute to educating the next generation of environmental stewards. Maryland has long been a leader in green schools. Schools like Fort Washington Elementary and Middle School in Baltimore, Wild Lake Middle School in Columbia, and Deep Run Elementary School in Elkridge show that it is possible when integrated design and green building principles are applied along with independent third-party verification to ensure that the state and school boards get the projects they intended. Unfortunately, a phrase changed 2 years ago threatens Maryland Green Schools leadership. Prior to this change, state-funded public schools in Maryland fell under the State Green Building Program and were required to achieve and obtain green building certification with several options available. The enactment of the 21st Century School Act, however, required that Green Building Council, a state entity, to establish green school guidelines without certification. Thus, school projects were being built without the benefit of a green school verification process. The independent third-party verification is a crucial step in building high-performance schools. Certification provides valuable transparency and assurances to the state legislation and to the public that tax dollars are being used to deliver the high-performing schools by verifying project teams are delivering on key aspects of design plans and goals. This accountability is needed to optimize the ability for each school to have the beneficial cost-benefit health environmental outcomes previously outlined. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, my name is Lisa Ferretto. I'm a sustainability architect and advocate. I'm a member of both the AIA and the U.S. Green Building Council. I served on the Maryland Green Building Council for 3 years. I am now a member of the Baltimore Sustainability Commission. And as both part of the state and the city, I have worked on task forces to actually look at green construction code. Lots of jurisdictions like Maryland did in 2008 wrote LEED silver into their legislation. And in 2014, everyone was sort of freaking out with the advance of LEED version 4. And so what everybody was doing at that time, the state, the city, Montgomery County, the city of Rockville, our neighbor DC, was we wrote IGCC as an equivalent path to LEED. And what this did was, let me just state, IGCC is the International Green Construction Code. It's an overlay code to the other ICC codes that the state already has adopted. What this allows is for states in rural areas and smaller counties that may have a harder time getting to silver, it gives them a path to also meet a green building standard without getting to certification. So this amendment, and I think I forgot to state at the beginning that I am in full support of this bill. But this amendment, what this does is it redacts a small statement that is sort of unnecessary language. It didn't need to be written in that bill a year or two ago. I forget which, HB 1783, because basically there was already a path for schools to follow without independent certification. There are 3 paths: LEED Silver, Green Globes. You can go that way, you can get a certification, or you can go the green construction path. In conclusion, regardless, and a lot of the state delegates have talked about equity across the states. Regardless of your county, regardless of the high-performance building path that you go to, there should be some equity of green building performance for the students and their performance, for healthy schools, and then also for the counties to then operate and pay for this building for the rest of the school life. Thank you.
Concludes the bill hearings for today. I want to thank everybody for coming and submitting amendments and ideas for amendments. Let me make two announcements. One, I didn't want to make this during the middle of the hearing, but if anybody needs help with the floor system to read your testimony on your laptop, if you're having trouble with that, Dana took the training and has volunteered to help you with that floor system.